Hey, what's good? You're talking to a girl from the hood. Yeah, I got a little bit of sense, and I'm looking for a man that can be my fresh prince. I've been working hard trying to see just who I am. Trying to use my voice, learning how to take a stand. Understanding what's important, who needs help, who needs me. Giving meaning to my people and awareness to the streets. I empower, I encourage, I educate, it's a need. I'ma put y'all up on game. All you gotta do is take heed. Entertain you for an hour, you laugh and you might cry. I'ma always be transparent and I'll never tell a lie. So come along and join me. I have things to discuss. You're following your girl who found her purpose. You're following your girl who found her purpose. Hey, hey. You're following your girl who found her purpose. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me again for another show of She Who Found Her Purpose. I am Linnell, your host, and as always, I am so glad to see you this week. So, this week, our topic is domestic violence. There's a lot that has been going on in the community, within the just everywhere, social media. I know there was an NFL player that had some issues within the community. So I just wanted to have a little bit of dialogue about those things. A couple of people hit me up in my inbox and said this was a topic that they wanted to talk about as well. They had some personal experience and some, I guess, just some lived experience. They've been the aggressor and they've been someone who has been harmed. So a lot of people have questions, concerns, just, want advice. So this is that show. So before I bring on my guest this week, I want to let you guys know this is for entertainment purposes only. Of course, we are not here to solve anybody's issues, but we can give you guys some advice. We can give you some resources that can potentially help you. So don't say Linnell told you to go out and do that, because Linnell didn't tell you to do nothing. Linnell gonna give you the resources and the information so you can get to where you need to be so you can be healthy and happy within your life. So without further ado, I want to bring on my special guest. This individual runs a program out here in Los Angeles that helps individuals who have experienced domestic violence, individuals who may think they are experiencing domestic violence or just may have questions. He's helping families in the community, and he's just trying to make sure that he supports people the way that we need to be supported, because honestly there aren't a lot of people who are out there in the trenches. So without further ado, I'm gonna bring on Mustafa. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Hello, Linnell. I'm doing. I'm over here. I'm driving. I'm coming from LAX, and so I'm talking with you guys, but at the same time, I do have to pay attention to the road. So,
Yes.
I,
Well, I appreciate you giving us a little bit of your time today. I know it's the holidays. I know there's a lot going on. Everybody out there cooking and trying to make sure they're there for their families. So I appreciate you. And I know we might have a little
yeah,
lag
yeah.
since you're
Everybody's with their
driving.
family. My entire team is with their family. Yeah, my entire team is with the families. With their families. So no one was available, and really, I'm not available, but I'm gonna make myself available for you.
I
This is
appreciate that.
important. And I have to go back home and cook and pick up family from LAX and all kind of stuff. I'm hosting Thanksgiving at the house for the first time, and I really don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but I felt like it would be a way for us to bring family together,
Right.
and we want to teach the kids gratitude and thankfulness and gratefulness and all of the other stuff that comes along with that. That definition, which
Right.
has a lot of different definitions, that's under that, but
Yes.
also teach the adults. We want the adults to come together and bring family back together. So that's the goal, and
Okay. And
it's
that's
not working.
extremely
I
important. I
can't.
mean, that's what Thanksgiving is supposed to be for, you know what I mean? Family and, eating together and communion and relationships. So we got to bring that back.
Yeah, we have to bring it back. And for me, I you can tell by my name, I am Muslim. I'm Muslim, and I come from a household that was mixed. The native side, and then of course we have the African American side, and then me being Muslim. So I have three, I have three situations in one body.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So our family, my family was spread it out, and everybody was separated. Coming here to California, and they're all over the place. We have people here. We have people in New Orleans, Mississippi, Atlanta,
Mm.
Arizona, Oklahoma, and Texas. From
Wow.
from
Okay.
that uh, that travel. So, but my family was on my mom's side was born on a reservation in Oklahoma, so that's the native side, and
Mm.
then my
Okay.
father's side has the African. So that's where that comes from. So it's a big deal. I
Got
guess you
it.
can call me African American, right? But
The true meaning
you're
of an
right, the
African
true one.
American.
But so it's hard to bring family together, and that kind of goes along with what we're talking about tonight when you're talking about DV.
Yes.
So it's something that we don't know how to resolve conflict because we honestly don't understand what relationships look like and what it
Yes.
means. We don't get it. It was taken away from us. So family dynamics and stuff like that. So
Right. So what would you say was the reason that you started your organization? And let me see, I have it here. It is the Lessons from Home Behavioral Intervention Program, correct?
yes, yes. What
Okay.
what what actually started that is I grew up in a community and a household to where um, everybody fighting, and you see the men fighting the women and the women fighting the men and the women fighting the women, and all that a natural thing. We didn't consider that domestic violence, right? And then
Right.
domestic violence comes in other forms of some of the men may punish, like for instance, let me talk about my life. My mom, right? My father was never around. My father died about 4 years ago, and I've only spent about 30 days with my father out of my lifetime. And I look
Mm.
21, but I'm 44. You know what I'm saying? No, but let me stop. But but then at the same time, I had a stepfather. I had a stepfather that was in the home that would whip us for any little thing. I got a whipping about 5 times a day on a good day, and
Mm.
that was normal. That was normal, which we know whippings come from the slavery mindset, right? And my stepfather
Right.
was from Louisiana, Shreveport, so he grew up in that getting whipped, that part of his life, right? So learned behavior, right? He learned it and he gave it. So
Yes.
also been in the gang life, me being in the gang life back in my day, which is a culture now. I was watching, my homeboys beat up the homegirls and, so forth. Even with sick the homegirls and another homegirl, the homegirls was sick, one of the homies on another homie and all this other stuff. And then they'll be back together the next day. So
Right.
I didn't understand what domestic violence was.
Right. Right.
I thought it was just something normal. Hey, people fight, right? People, um, punish people. They don't, they won't give them money, and that's what was happening in my household. My stepfather wouldn't give my mom money when she needed it, and all kind of other stuff. And then turn around and my mom wouldn't have sex with him for 6 months and all this other stuff. But we felt
Yeah.
like, hey, this is a relationship.
Right.
Um,
Right.
we
You
didn't
learn
have,
those unhealthy behaviors
yeah,
because that's what you've seen. Right.
and then you get in a relationship, and next thing you know, you're doing the same thing. I was doing the same thing to my little girlfriends. I would have sex with them and just get up and leave. I wouldn't even take my pants off. I would just, if I wanted what I wanted, and if I was mad at them, I would still take the sex and at the same time get up and leave and punishing them by not talking to them. So
Right.
it was so many different things that I experienced coming up. But I think the thing that kind of made me want to form a program is me being locked up and coming out of my mindset into more of the activist mindset, and
Mm.
being locked up, and everybody in the dorm and Wayside, which county jail, Wayside near Magic Mountain,
Hmm.
was in there. It was, I want to say, 85% of the people were in there for domestic violence.
Oh, wow.
So,
Wow.
I was laying there listening to, guys calling home and calling their jobs, and so forth and so forth, and we don't realize how much we lose
Yes.
when you get involved in with domestic violence, and you lose your job, and which causes if you have a wife and children, they lose the home if she can't continue either the mortgage or the rent. Um, for me, I was in there for DV as well, and
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
lost my house. Yeah, I lost my house. I lost my dogs. My
Mm.
dogs were picked up by the dog pound. My cars were impounded, and nobody could afford to pay my car note, pay my rent, even my
Right, right.
fish. They had to throw my
Mm.
fish away. I had a really nice fish tank. Throw the fish away, Linnell. So
That's
and
yeah.
then what so and then also the definition of domestic violence. See, I was in there not for beating my woman up. I was in there for getting scratched up and being the male, the black
Okay,
male.
wait. Say that again. So you
I was in there for being for just being involved in the argument and being scratched up and stuff like that, and pretty much I'm being real about what I'm saying. Pretty much
right.
defending
Yeah,
my
no, I know
feelings
you are, and I appreciate that.
by not hitting her, but pushing her away and grabbing her to get her off of me, and I got locked up because I put my hands on her.
Okay,
And they
okay.
actually gave us an option. They said, "Hey, well, you have scratches on you, and you've been pulling on her clothes and so forth and so forth. So we're going to take both of y'all." And then I said, "No, I did it because I didn't want her to go to jail, and then the kids go to DCFS and all this other stuff and this other
Right.
stuff." So I just went on and took the fall, but it put me in a position to want to change, to want to get more involved, and also, and honestly, I want to say protect men. At that point in time, I wanted to protect men.
And that's what I was going to ask you because, well, first, I want to kind of go back a little bit because I appreciate you sharing a lot of the things that you're sharing and just being, vulnerable and, transparent with us because it's difficult to find men that will do that a lot of the time, especially even just talking about your sexuality or what you used to do or, your relationships, that's difficult for a lot of people. So I appreciate that. So I wanted to tell you that.
Oh, you're
The
welcome.
next thing I wanted to ask you, or what I was going to bring up, is kind of what you just said. You said that you did it to protect the men.
Yeah.
I know that your program is for men and women and families, but
Yes.
also, I guess my question would be, do you think that there are a lot of men like you who were not the aggressors that went in? Did you
Yes.
find that there were okay. So, do you run across those individuals now, or do they come to your program, individuals like that, or men, do they come to your program?
Well, I want to. I have to say no, and the reason why I have to say no is because over the years, and I want to back up a little bit. I went to college, and I think we talked about this. I wanted to be a therapist like you, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
I took a lot of psychology classes, but I really wanted to know about myself, and I learned so much about learned behavior and all of these
Yes.
other things that goes on that we're not aware of, right?
Right.
And we I want to talk. Sorry about that. Hold on, I'm trying to park.
It's okay. Hi, Ernest. I see you said hi, so I guess I'll take this time to say that thank you for being here this week. Hopefully, Mustafa will tune back in real quick, you guys. But if you're just joining us, we're talking about domestic violence and why he started his program. Did I hear you say something, Mustafa? Okay. His program is called the Lessons from Home Behavioral Intervention Program. So we're just getting some information on that. He's giving some feedback on the different things that his program provides. With
I learned more about trauma, and I learned about my own trauma and how I was abused in a household, and and how my mother um, worked 3 jobs and she was never home, and my stepfather, and this is something that happened to me. This is my own personal trauma, right? So my
Right.
stepfather used to make us.
Well, that's secondary trauma.
Yeah,
Your mom was
yeah,
experiencing that trauma, and this was your secondary trauma.
yes. And my father, I mean, my stepfather, I want to say my father, but he used to make us wash his feet and all kind of different things.
Mm,
When he came home, he was a truck driver, so I had to wash his feet, and I had to fight. I had to fight my friends. I got whippings and all this other stuff just for nothing, and it developed a disconnection and dislike towards my mother, because I felt
okay.
like, hey, mom, you're allowing this person to harm us, right?
Right.
So for a long time, me and my mother didn't have a relationship. So that that relationship that comes from your mother, the nurturing, and all of the cultivating and all of this other stuff, and building
Right.
you up and teaching you, giving you love and teaching you how to love. I didn't get that. So I got into relationships with women, and I had no love for them. I didn't know how to rub
Mm,
them. I didn't know how to hug them. I didn't know how to hold them. I didn't know how to tell them how beautiful they were. I didn't know how to
right.
tell them how great they were. I didn't know how to be a helpmate. I don't know if you ever
Yeah.
read, religiously in the Bible or whatever your
My beliefs. I
yeah.
think that's what you were going to ask. My
So I
beliefs. Oh,
didn't know how to be a helpmate. I didn't know how to be. I'm sorry.
nothing. You froze
So
for a
I didn't know
minute,
how to
but
be
go
a
ahead.
partner. I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to be a partner. I didn't know how to be a helpmate. I didn't know how to rub her feet when she came home. Only thing I knew was I had never had a hug. I never were told
Mhm.
how great I was. I was always being called stupid and all these other different things in the household. I was called the black cat. They didn't even want to
Mm,
cross my path. I was the darkest person in the house, so I was called sneaky and all these other things. So that that typology of life, of violence, transmitted out into the community. So
right.
when I got
Right.
into relationships, everything that was happening to me that was taught to me, I did it.
Right. Because you probably thought that that was showing affection or love, because this is your parent that's doing these things. So it has to be love.
Yeah, that was love to me.
Right.
That's what it looked like. So I'm sorry. Let me turn on the light. That's what I gave. I gave love, right? So I tore people down. I tore women down.
Right.
Once again, I would have sex with them and just get up and leave. So when I went to college, I learned about myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm going to answer your question. I'm just want to lead up to it. I learned about myself, and I learned that, hey, instead of protecting these men that's going to jail, and maybe they didn't harm their mate, and or the
Mm-hmm.
women, I want to say women too, that's going to jail that maybe
Right.
did or didn't harm their mate. How do we modify that way of thinking? How do we reprogram the
Yes.
brain? Right? How do
Right.
we how do we teach them? So that's why I do it. That's why I do batterers intervention prevention instead
Yes.
of just regular DV. So I
Right.
want to
Okay.
work with the people that's actually harming other people, that's actually
Yes.
acting out like the football player.
And that makes
Those
sense.
are the people we want to work with.
Right. And I think that that's awesome, because there aren't a lot of individuals that want to work with that population. And so they often get left behind, because people start thinking, well, they don't need nothing and they were the one that beat them up, so they don't. But at the end of the day, they still need help. They're still a person.
They need help.
Yes. And so I understand where you're coming from. And I don't hear a lot of people come from that angle. So I commend you. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm on either end, but I really
Yeah.
commend you for standing strong and making a stance for this population, because that is difficult and it is a need. So I will say that there
So
is a need for it.
so Linnell, I'm going to share one of my, which I'm not supposed to share anything with you guys as pertaining to. I don't know if we locked up. Did I freeze or did you freeze?
No,
Somebody
no, go
froze.
ahead. We can hear
You
you.
back?
Yeah.
So I'm not supposed to share any of my stories from my program, but I kind of wanted to share one of these stories because God allowed me to do it. But one of the guys in my program, he, we go to class and stuff like that. And I'm sorry it's getting darker because I'm actually working at the house while we're talking.
Okay.
The man is coming to put up the tent at the house right now.
No
After letting me
worries. Go
engage,
ahead.
he's
It's the
doing some really
holidays.
big things for Thanksgiving. So I'm sorry, you guys. So I'm walking into a gum at the same time. He's actually late. I should make him give me a discount. But one of the one of the guys. Hey, go ahead. You can go ahead. Okay. So one of the guys going through our program. He come back a couple of weeks later and he said, "Hey, you guys, I want to share a story." He said, "Well, I whipped my son, and my son is." He said, "My son is a great young man, a great little boy. He's 12 years old, but I gave him a whipping because he doesn't want to listen to me." So I said,
Uh-huh.
"Well, what happened?" He said, "Well, I told my son to put his toys away. I told him, put your toys away, son." He got up, he went upstairs, he put the toys away. And when I came back down, he was downstairs again with the toys. So I whooped him. I gave him a cold whooping.
Mm.
Domestic violence is not on partner. It's with child, neighbor, it's with whoever you know, your cousin, whoever you know. So yeah, start from here. Thank you. So it's with whoever you know. It can be somebody just in your community. Right? Said my son woke me up the next morning and said, "Well, Dad, why did you beat me?" He said, "What did I do wrong?" He said, "Son, you don't listen. When I tell you to do something, I need you to do it." He said, "Well, Dad, you told me to put my toys away." So what I did was I picked up a group of a bunch of the toys and took them upstairs, and I came back down to get the rest. And when I came back down, you whipped me.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
His son was actually listening to him.
Right. It was
So
perception. It was his perception of what was going on.
so he had to apologize to his son. "Oh,
Hmm.
shucks, son, I'm sorry. The point that I'm making is we need to get to the root of what happened to him in order to be so quick to beat his son, to beat his wife, to beat his daughter.
Right.
What happened to you?"
I agree.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's
I
why I want
agree
to
with
work
that.
with the batterers because we
Yes.
need to stop that. We need to reprogram that. And if he wasn't, maybe his son be the same way with his wife and kids.
Yeah. But once again,
Learn behavior.
exactly. Yes. Yeah. That's that
So
generational trauma. Once again, secondary trauma. It's a lot of different traumas affecting different people differently. Because
yes,
that's why you have some people will go on to be the abuser, some people go to be abused, you
yeah,
know. And it just depends on where you fall within that spectrum.
yeah. And of course you're a therapist, so when you talk about the anger part, how do you recognize your own body when you're angry? What happens
Yes.
to your body? So we want to work with the people that don't have self control and or
Hmm.
learned it, like and I, I don't want to say much and give away too much, but at the same time we have certain cultures, and I want to say machismo. We have certain cultures, and
Yes.
we have people in our group that say, "My daddy taught me this."
Hmm.
My daddy said, and I don't want to use profanity on your show, but my daddy
It's
said, "Don't
fine.
never let
It's
a,
a very open show, so that's okay.
my daddy said, don't never let a bitch tell you what to do. You beat her."
Mm, right.
I have people say,
And
"I
that
saw my
once
daddy
again,
beat my
that's the
mama."
learned behavior.
Learn behavior.
Because the dad might be telling them, and if you don't, then I'm gonna beat you. I mean, from a young age, this starts young, and you get
Never,
girlfriends young.
never compromise with a woman. I was taught that you don't compromise with a woman. So which we know we have to compromise with our wives, our girlfriends, even our daughters,
But
our
that's
mothers.
something you learned as well. That was a learned behavior you had to pick up
Yeah,
and you had to change your way of thinking.
yeah,
But you had to want to as well.
yes. In my culture, we talk about God being a shelter, and I,
Mhm.
and not on a religious level, but on a spiritual level. We talk about God being our shelter and stuff like that, and God covering us and walking with us and pushing us and motivating us and all these different things, and God loving us, right? So we're talking about the agape love, the
Right.
great the greatest love ever, which is the
Yes.
godly love, right? So
Yes.
love comes from God within, and then we give it out. So what happened? What happened to you to where you're so angry you just you can't control yourself? You want
Right.
to get a gun, a knife, a bat, whether it's verbal, whether it's financial. You don't want to give your woman, money to go to work, gas money. You rather her catch the bus. Hey, how you doing? I have, even with my own family, I have a cousin who recently got a job, and her husband didn't want her to work. He ran her over, and she lives in Atlanta. And as
Mm.
he didn't want to give her the keys to the car to go get the job, which she's a nurse, she's a registered nurse, and she
Right.
moved out to Atlanta and she wanted to go get a job. He didn't want her to have a job. So she said, okay, I'll just catch the bus. I have to have a job. I need to be independent. So
Right.
he ran her over.
That's crazy.
He
I
ran her over,
mean, let me not use that word.
you know?
Sorry.
Yeah.
But but once again, that shows that insecurity that was probably there.
Yeah.
It shows that anger and aggression and impulsivity that is there, that irrational thinking that is there. I
Yeah.
mean, for me as a therapist, I mean, that would be the ideal individual because I'm like, yeah, definitely, I can diagnose you. There are several things there that are not right. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
also it's an individual that is unique in a right, and you have to know how to engage with that individual. And one
Yes.
thing that I think is extremely important that I've seen that your agency does is you're trauma informed and you implement harm reduction.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
big on that. So when I seen that, I was like, okay, oh, you okay, you got
Yeah.
me when I seen that.
Yeah, we conduct a lot of trainings on conflict resolution, de-escalation, and all these other different things. We're all, um, I want to say, we're all, we've all been through DV,
Mhm.
all of us, whether it's male or female. Um,
Right.
and my partner, uh, I don't know if you know her story, and one day we'll have her on air with you.
I know a little bit, but yes,
Yeah,
I would like to have her on as well.
yeah, yeah. She's and her issues with DV and what happened with her, and so
Yes.
it's yeah, it's a lot. So we want to work with the people in this world, the DV world, is Caucasian. The
Yes.
facilitators, the business is Caucasian,
Yes.
but when you go to jail, they're black.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, you're
They're
right.
black
Or Hispanic.
or Hispanic.
Yeah, it's either brown or black.
It's either brown or black, and what we're
Hmm.
doing, we're losing our jobs, we're losing our families, which
Yes.
that trickles down to the kids. The broken home system that we're hopefully we're aware of. We even teach that what that looks like, the broken home system and family separation and all this other stuff that we go through as culturally that we go through. I'm telling you, even tonight, I'm trying to bring the family together for tomorrow, and it's not working right. So
Right.
we want to help the individuals that need the help but don't know where to get it.
Got it. Okay. Okay. And that makes sense. I mean, those are the people that probably need it the most.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
there are a lot of people who don't want help or, you know, don't want the information. There's also a lot of individuals out there that are just looking for things like this. They want to have it there just in case. And that's okay,
Yeah,
because that means that you're being proactive.
yeah.
And
You
that
know,
potentially means that you know that you might be in some unsafe environments. And we're all about safety. Being
yeah.
safe is extremely important.
You know, Linnell, as men, you know, we have this ego, you know, that we and some women too, but us as men, we have this ego that we don't realize is there, you know, and I have one individual to where he lost his job and his wife was taking care of the bills, and she
Mm.
finally said, "Hey, you know," he felt in his mind, he felt like she was saying he was worthless, so he busted
Oh,
her up. You know, she's disrespecting my manhood. Well, your manhood is, and this is how do you talk to your wife and say, honey, when you say things like that, after you calm down, it could be the next
right.
day or
Yeah.
so, but when you say
Hmm.
things like that, it makes me feel bad. How to use I statements and all these other things, you know, how do you, because when you talk about harm reduction, you're not only helping yourself not harm your partner, but also your own ass. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because
Yes.
what if she
Yes.
got a family? Either you're gonna go to jail, or somebody gonna come kill you, or whatever the case may be, and all this other stuff.
Right.
But how do you talk to your wife about or your husband about things that you're going through internally?
Well, I mean, I would hope that there has been some type of, if it is a husband, some type of marriage counseling, some type of, going to your pastor, your priest, your imam, whatever religion you are, you're going to those individuals and you're seeking out some type of guidance. I would hope. If you're extremely in tune with your relationship, a therapist obviously is super important and beneficial and can get people out of those rough spots. Or even just somebody that is a mediator that can, stay neutral and not take any sides, and no one's feeling like that person is going, either way. But it's all about communication, honestly. Learning how to
Yeah, yeah.
communicate, picking the right partner. And I'm smiling because I know that's not always, that's not easy at all. So I don't even want to say
No,
always, but I mean, just picking someone that you can have those conversations with, though, and that you trust, because that's something that you would need to trust the other individual to receive.
that's a big one because
It is. Uh-oh, I think you froze up.
one of the biggest ones. That's one issue because then, can you see me? I'm back.
Okay, there you go.
So trust is a big one too because it's like, you know, I hear stories of, well, my daddy cheated on my mama, or my mama cheated on my daddy and left, right?
Mm,
So and then those whispers come back in your ear of, don't let a bitch yada 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 yada.
yes,
Boom,
yes.
they attack them because they don't have trust. So how do we build trust? You know, how do we break? If and once again, you know, our program is an educational program. We teach them the laws and all these other things that's dealing with DV, what it looks like. We want them to
Right.
go home and not only teach their partners, but also teach the children. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We want them to go
Yeah.
home and actually work through our workbooks with their partners. Hey, baby, I learned this in DV batterers intervention today. This is
Hmm.
what let's do this workbook together. We want to do not only group exercises in our class, but also we want them to take the homework home.
See, but
You know what
another
I mean?
thing is, once again, they have to be committed.
Have to be committed.
So I think maybe another question for me to you is, the individuals coming to you, are they mandated to come to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, because a lot of individuals, when they are in that situation, and if they're mandated, that's the first red flag. That's kind of like a barrier, and there is no trust. So
No.
how are you guys overcoming that to be able to be successful and help them, change their way of thinking?
Well, trust is something that once again has to be built up. So being
Yes.
persistent and consistent with who I am or who we are as individuals, as counselors, um, as people that advocate and stuff like that. So we have to be constant with who we are. We can't change,
Right.
but at the same
Yes.
time, being honest and stern about our program and what we're looking for and what we're trying to do and how we want things to work and so forth. We can't change. We have to
Right.
build their trust. We have to, be able to gain their trust in us. And if they can trust us, then maybe they can go home and trust their partners. Maybe they can build that relationship. Hey, you're able to build it with us. You
Right.
can't build it with the woman you lay with every day. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You
So
know what? And I think once again the lived experience, the relatability that you guys have, being trauma informed, using harm reduction, those are all things that are helping you guys to be successful because you can kind of meet them where they're at and at their level
yeah,
to be able to get that buy-in and gain that trust, kind of, same way therapists do, because you guys are kind of therapists in a way. I
yeah,
think everybody has a little bit of a therapist in them. Honestly, that's just my opinion because all you have to do is be able to listen and want to help and be empathetic. Those are like the main things. So if you can do those things and you can um you can make someone feel safe,
yeah,
then that's huge.
yeah. I mean, Linnell, we have, and I'm not even talking about just in my program. I want to say in my family, we have couples that's been married or together for 15 years, unmarried,
Hmm.
and don't have joint bank accounts
Mm.
because they have no trust.
Yeah. I think that, but once again, and not all black people, so I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way.
Yeah.
But in a lot of black households, I think that's the way it is. Even for women, I've heard a lot of women say, "Oh, he ain't gonna never know what I got.
Yep.
This mine, and then we got this over here, but this mine, and he ain't gonna never know I got an account, or he ain't gonna never be able to touch this."
Yep.
And I heard a lot of grandmothers say, you don't never tell that man, because what if he leave you? You got to have, and once again, like you said, I think that is based off of for years, nobody having trust. And then, back in the day, men and women would cheat, but they would just stay together. So once again, that built that, negative energy within the families and those negative patterns, and so they're like, okay, we're going to stay together just because we're married or just because we have children
Yep.
or, just because we have been together. But I don't trust him. I don't trust her.
Yep.
I'm not going to be with her after the kids or, and it's sad.
Yeah. I mean, even for me, I was taught, hey, don't get married.
Mm,
No, women, your wife is going to take from you.
right.
Hold on now. You need power in the garage? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was even told, even for myself, I was told, and as you can see, they're hooking everything up in my
Yeah.
driveway. So I'm sorry.
Y'all going to have a fat Thanksgiving. Look.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, we can't hear you.
The garage. There's the power right here. I'm sorry. Okay. So even me, I was told, hey, don't never get married. You don't want to. Your wife is going to take everything from you, and this and that, and all these other stuff that I've heard. Even me coming up, and my stepfather never tried to marry my mother. They were together for 13 years until he passed away. He didn't think about giving her an engagement ring.
See, that
What I
makes
mean?
me think about
But
this
he did.
meme, and I'm always cracking jokes, but I stand, and I'm probably not even saying it right, so somebody probably gonna correct me. But on Facebook, and it says something like, "I don't want to be your girlfriend for years, and then you die, and I go to your funeral, and they talking about his special friend." They was like, "I'll flip that whole casket over. You talk about the special friend after 13, 15 years, and I would too." You're not gonna be calling me no special friend, and I done held you down for 20 years, and you ain't married me. But a lot of people, feel like, oh, that's just a
Well,
piece of
well,
paper, or it's going to change the relationship as well. And, once again, that's that negative thinking, or being taught that marriage is not important and it not holding any value.
marriage is something that two people, and I know we got off the topic of DV, but
Yeah, I know.
it goes hand in hand. But marriage is something that brings two people together and become one person,
Right.
right? They become one person. So here we are. We don't want to get married and all this other stuff and all this other stuff because we don't trust each other. And but then you have other people, and like we're talking about the bank account thing, we have other people putting their money together and they're buying property and land
Yes.
and developing businesses and all these other different things because they've learned to be one person, right?
And that's because
So
that's a healthy relationship, once again. And they
healthy
want a
relationship.
healthy relationship, and they're not afraid or embarrassed of having a healthy relationship. A lot of
Yes.
individuals, like you said earlier, pride is one of the biggest things that
Yes.
interferes with relationships, and why a lot of abuse happens. Honestly, it's because individuals are prideful. And if
Very
you
powerful.
put that on the back burner and you allow yourself, once again, to be vulnerable, or just, accept that, okay, this person may potentially make me better and we're going to be better together. And I don't care what people think about this relationship. This is about us and what we're trying to build. I think that's extremely important.
And this goes along. Hey, how you doing? Good. And this goes along with parenting.
Yeah. Yes,
You know what I
it
mean? So
does.
so so when we're talking about batterers intervention, we're talking about parenting as well. We're talking
Yes.
about everything that goes along with and that's why it's called lessons from home because we want to create
Mm,
a better home life.
got
It
it.
all
Okay.
goes together.
Yes. You
Sometimes
know what? And I think, I know you keep saying it's for the betterer, but because of what you just said, it's for everyone. It's for the family. It's for the betterer first, but it's for the family.
yes,
So, I mean, I'm not trying to tell you what to do,
no,
but I
I'm on
think
your
you need
side.
to stop saying it's for the betterer, because it's not just for the betterer. It's
It's for
actually
the
for the
family.
unit.
Yeah.
And that's important for, I think, everyone to know. I mean, yeah, you might start with the batterer first, but it's for everyone in the home,
Yes.
so the entire household can be better.
Yes. It's for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yes.
And we want them to go home and learn how to be better, better.
Yes.
Better father, better mother, better husband, better wife, better brother, better sister, better uncle.
Yes.
How do you how do we recreate our households that's
Right.
preventing us from growth? That is preventing us from how do we stop going to jail? How do we stop
Yes.
having to pay money for 52 weeks every week? You got to pay that
But
money
the
every
way
week.
you gonna stop going to jail is by taking your program, like, and accepting when you have a problem. Because once again, I mean, whether it's the man or the woman,
Yeah.
because the abuser can be the man or the male or the female. So it's not just one person. It could be either or. It can even be a child being the
Yes.
aggressor. I mean,
Yep.
because it can be switched anyway. But if you are that individual and you know that you're having those ideas, or you're having those behaviors, you need to seek out help.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I know we talked about a lot tonight. We went through families. We talked about, domestic violence from a male point of view, which I really, really appreciate. Also from a batterer's point of view, which was awesome because I gave it a different twist than what normally, we would talk about. So I really appreciate you, bringing that to us tonight, especially since you're getting ready for Thanksgiving as well. You was walking around tonight, you multitasking, so I really appreciate you for doing that. I want to make sure that if people want your information or want to contact you, want to know about your program, that they have that. So this is Mustafa's information. His phone number is 310 980-1527. If you want to get in contact with him, you have questions, concerns, want to collaborate, anything like that, you can contact him on that number. Also, his partner is Kelly Dillon. Her number is 323-403-6070. I'm going to bring her back on the show later. She has an amazing story as well. Will be able to give us a different
Yes.
perspective from a woman's point of view and from their program as well. Her experience with the program and how it is benefiting the community currently. Um, if you guys have any questions about DV or you're scared about something, you want to call the domestic violence hotline, you can call the National DV hotline at 800-799 SAFE, which is 7233. Thank you, Ryan. He said, great job. Thank you for speaking, Mustafa. So Ryan said, great job. It was very informative. We want to make sure, once again, that we're highlighting individuals in the community. So I really appreciate you for speaking about your program, telling us about your personal experience and being vulnerable, because I know that that is difficult for a lot of individuals. So I really, really appreciate that. Did you?
Well, you're welcome, and I thank you. I mean, we need people like you
Oh,
to be able to reach people like us. And one thing that I didn't mention is we just brought a substance abuse
oh,
team to the program as well. So
okay.
with all of this goes hand in hand. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So we're
And you
doing
have a youth program as well, right?
yeah, and we have a youth program. We have a youth program, so um, we have a lot of stuff going on with
Yes.
this music program and sports and all this. But for the DV piece, we do have substance abuse counseling now.
Okay. Great. Thank you so, so much for all that information. Thank you for being on here tonight. Thank you for repping the community. Thank you for just still being, a part of everything and hitting the ground running. I really appreciate you. Happy
Same here.
Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you later.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, you guys. So I really appreciate you guys for being with me tonight. Again, I want to thank Mustafa for coming on here, telling us about his program. I think it's amazing. Like I told him, it's very rare that you see programs that are for the batterers and not just for the individuals that are being abused. And with me being a therapist, we have to think about everybody. I mean, nobody is perfect. We all make mistakes, and no sin is bigger than the next or worse than the next. So we have to make sure that we're focusing on that. I want you guys, if you have any topics that you want to do, to hit me up at shewhofoundherpurpose@gmail.com. Put it in my inbox. Let me know what you want to talk about or if you want to come on the show, and I'll get back to you and we can set something up. I also want you guys to follow, like, and share my YouTube page, She Who Found Her Purpose. Eventually, I'm going to stop doing these lives on my Facebook, and it's only going to be on my YouTube. So that'll be the only place that you'll be able to see me. So make sure that you guys follow me on YouTube so you can stay in touch with me and make sure that you're not missing any of the shows. So I want to thank you guys again for joining me tonight. I really appreciate all of my viewers, and you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. Bye.